Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we have a very special guest on the show, Jamie O'Neill from Pacoima, California. He's a professional CGI artist. He's been working in this field for 20 years, and he's here to talk about many experiences that he's had with UFOs and extraterrestrials, and possibly actually even alien abduction. I want to thank you a lot for coming on the show to talk about this, Jamie. It's highly appreciated.
Oh, it's an honor. I appreciate you having me, man.
So you're a CGI expert. You do video games. That's your expertise?
Yeah. I've been working 20 years, self-taught, never went to college or anything like that.
Just like Mick West, similar, except you're on the flip side of
this.
He's a debunker,
the
but
opposite.
you're
I'm
an experiencer.
A believer, experiencer. Yeah.
So when did it start for you? When was the first incident that started making you realize something was weird going on this world?
So it all started in the early 1990s. I was coming back from Idaho to Los Angeles, and I was really young and stuff, but I remember it vividly. I looked out the window of the airplane. Something told me to look outside, and I saw these two crafts flying side by side behind the window of the airplane. And they had, the best way I could describe it is it was like a hexagonal shape over the entire crafts, both of them. And they were flying seamlessly with no visible propulsion or anything like that. And even though I was real young and stuff, I just knew that there was something off about what I was seeing. And I didn't, obviously I didn't attribute it to aliens right away until much later in life. But at the time, I called them meteors, but that's not what they were, obviously,
Yeah.
So, I even tried to, like, my mom was sitting right beside me, but I guess she wasn't paying attention. I was trying to get her to come, look out the window and look at it. And at the time she didn't look at it or didn't pay attention, or maybe she did see it and maybe only I could see it. I don't know. But I kind of vividly remember the guy that was sitting in front of me. Like he was looking out the window and he kind of had like a shocked look on his face. So, fast forward many years after this had happened, I was already a full-grown adult. I saw one of those segments on the History Channel. They had talked about these crafts that were flying side by side next to the windows of airplanes around the same time period. It was like the early 90s, they said. Multiple witnesses, like hundreds of people, came forward, and they did a CGI 3D representation of the crafts, what they look like. It looked exactly like what I saw when I was a child.
And what was how old would you say you were around at this time?
3, probably going on 4.
And what kind? Was this a regular kind of big old commercial jumbo jet that you were in at the time?
Yeah, it was a passenger plane with a bunch of people on it, and we were coming back. My mom was visiting her friend from Idaho, and we were coming back to LA, and I just saw those things just flying seamlessly, and the whole crafts. Keep in mind, like, no nuts and bolts, nothing like that. It was just solid, like a honeycomb texture, all brown. And the outline, the pattern of the honeycomb was like a yellowish color. And I remember that so vividly. And that's actually what they, the people on the show, the 3D representation actually showed exactly how I described it, like exactly what I saw. So I thought that was a trip, so it confirmed my story. It wasn't just a dream or in my imagination or anything like that.
And how big would you say? How big were these things, and exactly the shape? Again, I just
they were about, I would say, like the size of an SUV, and they were pod shaped, like not exactly saucer, but like this and like that, pods, and not completely oval, but more like it kind of little bit elongated, with the tip and the end a little bit skinnier than the center.
wow, that's interesting. And you're like 3, 4
Yeah,
years old, and you made when you're that young. I mean, you have no idea. You think, oh, maybe this is just the way things are. I mean,
yeah, yeah. That's what I thought. Or for the longest time, I just kind of chalked it up to a dream until I saw that episode of on the History Channel, and a bunch of people saw exactly what I saw. So it confirmed, like, I wasn't just dreaming or hallucinating or anything like that.
yeah. And then so that was just the beginning of your experiences, though. This is just
Oh,
marked the beginning of.
absolutely, absolutely. I recall in one of your episodes when you were a child that you saw something come into your room,
Yes.
right? Well, I had a similar experience, but this was 2017. I was already a grown man. I was in my early 30s or something. Um, so this happened like my grandfather passed away a week prior to this happening, and I had moved in. I'm actually in the house that they used to live in. They're deceased. They're gone now. I've been here for a long time. So that night, I moved in here in 2017, like a week after he had passed away. I was sleeping, and it was probably around 2 or 3 in the morning. I woke up and I heard a sound. It sounded like a guttural breathing sound. It was like, and the noise kept getting closer and closer, like it came from the door area, and it just like my bed is in the middle, and it was like coming to the side of the door. And at this point, my eyes were wide awake, but I was paralyzed. I was totally paralyzed. I couldn't move or anything, and I heard this sound. I couldn't see anything, and I just kept hearing this, and it was coming closer and closer. The sound was getting louder as it was getting closer. And then I was following it with my eyes, even though I couldn't see it, but I was following the sound. And on the left side of my bed, out of nowhere, I see this orange flash of light just appear out of nowhere. This orange flash of light, and out comes from that flash of light is this hideous, weird, brown, ugly, weird being that crawled onto the side of my bed that was laying right next to me. And it looked like an extraterrestrial. Like it had a brown head, round, bulbous, no hair. It had these black beady eyes, and it was squirming around on my bed. And I was just looking at this thing, and I couldn't move. I was paralyzed and then petrified too. And somehow I was able to get the strength and courage, and I just like jumped out of my bed and punched it, and it disappeared. And
Wow.
at that point, obviously I was able to move around, but I came out of my paralysis, and I was just drenched in sweat. I was scared. I was looking around my room, going, "What the hell is that, man?" I was just afraid. So after about an hour, it took me a while to get back to sleep, obviously, because I was so scared. After about an hour, I finally go to sleep. This time, like I had the covers over even though I'm a grown man at this point, like I had the covers over my whole body. I was just paranoid if this thing was going to come back into my room. I didn't want to see it. I just wanted to get back to sleep. Sure enough, when I went back to sleep, I fell asleep. I felt movement on my bed, like physical movement. My bed was shaking. And I felt something, the weight of something crawl onto my bed from the same side that it came from before. And I, at this point, you know, my eyes were open again. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move, but my eyes were open under the covers. I couldn't see it this time. It crawled over my body. I could feel it just crawl over. And you could feel the weight on it. And it was now on this side. Then I felt it went up. My arm was sticking out like this out of the covers. It went up to my arm, and I could feel it brushing up against my hand, my arm. I could feel it. And then it went back to where it was before on the other, you know, the right side. Then it crawled over again. You feel the weight on it. Then it crawled over to the other side again. And this time, I don't know what happened. I just felt the whole bed just sink, like all the way down. And I jumped out of bed and it was gone.
Wow. Was there anybody else in the house with you at this time?
Yeah. My mom, and she actually heard noises. She was tempted to come into my room and ask me, like, is anything okay? And then the next day I told her about it, and she believed me, because at that point, you know, long after, she had experiences of her own that were very intense as well.
So basically, so this incident happened. Now, this was the first thing is when you're in the early 90s, and all those years passed, and then nothing really happened, I'm assuming. And then 2017, all of a sudden, this weird thing happens to you.
Yeah. I didn't have any type of experiences whatsoever until 2017. And that's when, like, shit hit the fan, like one after the other. And it was just so crazy.
And did the second time when you went back to bed in the second experience, were you paralyzed the second time, or were you just paralyzed with fear this time?
You mean the second time when it came back? I was more paralyzed with fear. I was like, I could actually move, but I didn't want to move, because I thought, what if it does something, you know, as soon as I move or whatever. But as soon as I felt the bed sink real low, that's when I got up, almost like it knew I was just trying to, like, pretend not to move. So it provoked me into, like, getting up.
Wow. That has to be scary. So what the hell? Like, what happens after this? Are you just up the rest of the night, or are you, like, how does the next day after some incident like this happens? What are you thinking?
Oh, I was like in trauma, man. I couldn't stop thinking about this thing, and it was in my mind, like, nonstop, 24/7. And first thing I did, I told my mom about it. I was like, something weird happened to me last night. I don't know what it was. And she saw that I was so, like, flabbergasted, you know?
And then did she say that, did you, at that point, did she tell you of anything that experiences that she had with regard to weird, strange phenomena like this?
Well, she had already told me about it, and because it was going on for her, like almost a decade prior to it happening for me, because she had an up and close personal UFO encounter while she was at work as a security guard. And, you know, I could tell you about that too. And it's a very good one, you know, like, you know, she was out on patrol. She worked night shift. You know, she was out she was at a car lot working night shift, and part of her job was to go across a street, and there was a suburb area, like, across, and there was a suburb neighborhood. And at one point, when she went to that area, there was a massive, gigantic, cigar-shaped UFO just hovering at tree level. I mean, this wasn't a dot in the sky. It was like you could see every detail. It had rows of windows all along the sides. It had like a cockpit window in the front. It was cigar shaped and totally seamless, like no nuts and bolts or anything, no visible propulsions or anything. But it had a red, gigantic ball of energy in front of it. I guess that was powering the craft. And it was totally silent, but it lit up the whole sky. It made the whole sky red. And she was paralyzed because this thing, I guess, had seen her, and she couldn't even move. She couldn't move at all. And she was telling herself, like, what is this thing? It sees me. It's coming to get me. I don't know what's going on. So then a car full of women that were out at the night partying or whatever, at a club or whatever, they pulled up right when this thing was coming towards my mom, and it was like 3 or 4 women in the car, and they all noticed the craft. One of them pointed at it. They said, "What is that?" And they all screamed in bloody murder. They were like, "What is that thing?" And as soon as that happened, the craft went from tree level, massive giant, like the size of a football field, to it just shot up into the air. It was just a tiny dot like that.
Wow. And and this was about 10 years before you had this incident in 2017. So this was around 2007 then. And it was like, what kind? She was outside as a security guard at a I'm assuming like a plant or something like that.
Well, I said roughly 10 years, so it was more like 2009 or 10.
Okay, and it was like the place that she was a security guard at was like some sort of a plant or a factory or something or something like that.
No, it was a car. It was a Honda car lot, and it was near suburban neighborhoods. But like, I'm gonna get to this something else, because I actually saw that same craft much later as well, like in the 2020s.
Yeah, actually, you actually provided some images to me too. I'll pull them up on the screen as this was something. This wasn't the one that you saw, but this was similar to something that you saw. This thing here, you found these images on the internet. Here's one of them, and here was there's another one of it too. This is something that you said, something similar to this.
It looked very similar to that, and the same lighting and everything, the bluish green. And the first image kind of has like something in front of it, like the power source is in front of the craft.
Right there, that looks like
exactly like that.
And so this happened to your mom, and she told you about this at the time.
Oh yeah, she right when it happened, I was actually at my home, and she called me at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she was frantic. She was panicking. She's like, "You won't believe this. I almost got abducted by a UFO. The thing was huge." And I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to lie. At the time, like I told you, because up until when I saw that episode on the History Channel, I was kind of a skeptic about this subject. So I mean, it's not that I didn't believe her because she was so panicked, but it's like, I guess I didn't want to believe in this stuff. Like, I wasn't really in tune with the whole alien thing, and like I am now, because of what happened.
Life's complicated enough without having to worry about something else like this, but that's what, unfortunately, it seems like that's the case,
Yeah.
So that your mom had that experience, and then was that the only experience she had, or was there other things that happened? And she would tell you these things.
Oh, absolutely. After that happened, I remember on one of your shows, you mentioned how, like, a lot of people, I think this happened to Angel from Las Vegas, where after his encounter, he had like poltergeist type activity. Well, the same thing happened to my mom. In her apartment for many years, there was like poltergeist activity nonstop. She would see like spirits and demons and weird stuff. And it's always tied to these aliens. When somebody sees like a up and close and personal craft that's really close by, there's always some kind of like poltergeist activity. I kind of have a hypothesis about that. Like, I could be wrong, you know, I don't know all the answers, but this is just my opinion. I think that these aliens are messing with our perceptions of reality. They're screwing with our heads, and it's some type of experiment. And whatever this thing was, has been tracking my mom and myself and even my dad. And they've been doing things with us, messing with us.
That's an interesting theory. I like it. I mean, because there are a lot of cases where I just mentioned it the other day with the Skinwalker Ranch. It wasn't just UFOs and orbs, and it was a poltergeist activity. Things go missing and then show up somewhere else. I mean, I know I did a show one time where I think it was in the 60s or 70s where these two young teenage girls were walking home at night and they saw like what they described as what looked like tree stump creatures, and they also saw a UFO. And then after that happened, one of the kids was experiencing poltergeist activity in their home. It seems to happen in a lot of different cases for some reason.
Yeah. So I mean, with that being said, like I kind of understand how people think it might be demons, but I personally don't believe that. You know, I believe that they're advanced beings from other planets using some type of advanced technology that we just don't understand.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I'm agreeing with you too. Yeah, I mean, I think there's things are so above us that we're too dumb. We're just not there yet to understand what exactly is happening here. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why government doesn't want to talk about this, because it's just they don't even know what's going on completely. I mean, how could how could anybody?
Right.
I mean, if there's something that's a million years more advanced than you, you're not going to be able to know what they're doing. So that's how I feel too. So yeah, you're making some great.
My analogy is like giving a cell phone to a colony of ants. They're not going to figure out what that is, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, okay, so you had this incident in 2017. I guess before we go on there, like your mom has some other experiences. She had some with the weird poltergeist activities and stuff, and then you had your experience in 2017. And you by this point you had heard some of your stories from your mom, but then there were some other things that happened to you, some other spectacular incidents.
Oh, absolutely. So this also took place in 2017. I was hanging out with a friend of mine. You know, we were out in the backyard, just normal, like, you know, drinking a couple beers or whatever. And, you know, so my friend, he's the one that noticed this first. Like, there was a craft that just kind of flew up over the horizon. And it was shaped like this, like somewhat triangular, but more diamond shaped, because it had like the end of it was more pointed. And it had like rows of lights on every corner, white lights, like that.
Yeah.
And it just flew silently above us. And at the time, I was like, you know, at first I was like, my friend's like, what the hell is that, man? That's not normal. What is that? And I go, what do you mean? You sure that's not a plane? And then I walk up and I look a little better, and I could see that this is not no plane. It's something way beyond that. And it was not making any sound or anything. So fast forward about like a month later, you know, in 2017, we had a solar eclipse. A lot of people don't remember that, but we had a solar eclipse in 2017. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but that same friend and I, we were hanging out in the backyard also, that, you know, hanging out. I mean, we weren't drinking that day or anything like that. It was like in the late afternoon, you know, it was summertime. It was around, I guess what was the solar eclipse of 2017? That was August or so.
Yeah. I don't remember. I think it might have been. I know what you're talking. I do remember the solar eclipse.
Yeah, I know it was summertime because it was still daylight out in the late afternoon. It was like 7 o'clock or so. My friend went to the bathroom. Okay, I was out behind. There's like a shack, it used to be a dressing room, but it's a shack, whatever, that my grandfather built many years ago. We were hanging out, on the chairs, hanging out, and my friend goes to use a bathroom. I stood up I was looking towards away from the wall, and I had this intuition in my mind. I was thinking, there's something behind me. There's something behind me. So I turn around, I look, and there's nothing. I don't see anything. So my friend comes back from the bathroom, and we hang out for a little bit longer, like 30 minutes or whatever. All of a sudden, my friend points out, he points at the wall. He goes, "What the hell is that?" And I look over, and there's a shadow, a pitch black being, three-dimensional. It wasn't a shadow. It was three-dimensional, pitch black, insectoid-like being with a triangular head like this, about 2.5, 3, maybe 3.5 feet tall, and it had these praying mantis-like arms like this. And it was just standing there staring at us like this the whole time. And we froze for about 2-3 minutes without saying anything, and then we just ran in the house.
Wow. And so was this invisible? I guess it's almost like invisible, or what would you, or like semi-invisible, transparent, or just a mass, a shape?
It was like pitch black, like blacker than black, like anything that's black, like this cup or something, way blacker than that, because you could see the reflection and stuff. There was no reflection. It was just solid black. And we just got the hell out of there, man, because it was so terrifying. And I felt this sense of dread. Like I had anxiety and panic when I saw this thing.
So you go running into the house, and what did your friends say? What happened then? What was the next thing? What did you say to each other after seeing this weird thing?
We discussed it, and we were like, what in the hell did we just see just now? And my friend is actually a believer in UFOs and aliens and stuff like that too, because he actually took pictures of one of the crafts that I told you about, and the picture I sent you with the green. He actually took pictures of his own. I was hoping to get that one from him, the one that he took, because he was with his mom, and they both saw it, and he took a photograph with an iPhone. It was real high quality, but I wasn't able to get him to send me the picture, unfortunately, and we don't talk anymore.
So you did send me a couple of different pictures here. There was this one here. Is this one that you took? This is one that you took?
Yeah, that one I took in 2023, 4th of July. It was a red orb that was just like floating above in the horizon. It came up over the horizon, and it just floated up, kind of sat there for about 5 minutes, and then it just went back real instant. And I was able to take a photograph of it. I was like so nervous I wasn't able to take a video, but I was lucky enough to take a picture.
And then there's this one. Is this the same day, or?
Yeah.
Wow.
That one happened in 2021, and that was like around March or so. Now that's an interesting story as well, because there's a lot of witnesses. A lot of people saw that one. So that one, I'll tell you about that one. That one. So it's weird. I have this intuition whenever there's like a UFO or something, like something tells me in my head to look up. And this thing was like flying over the horizon from the direction of the moon, and it came up over my garage. It slowly glided, not making a sound. And the picture doesn't even do it justice because the green was so luminous. It just lit up the behind the skies, like it looked like a green Christmas light flying through the air, man. And it hovered over my garage for a good, 5-10 minutes. And even to the point I was actually able to run inside the house, and I got my binoculars. I got the binoculars, and I got a real good look at this thing. And sure enough, it was a cigar-shaped craft with rows of windows with kind of like a cockpit in front of it. There was like a black, like an airplane, one of those jumbo jets. They have the black, window in front of it, but it had no means of visible propulsion. There were no propellers, nothing coming out of the back of it or anything like that. Totally quiet. And it was so weird looking. It would kind of cloak and decloak, cloak and decloak. It would just disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear.
Wow, that's weird, man. That is something.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like, I know what it's feel like. I had that experience in the '90s when I saw a UFO up close, and when you're seeing something like this, and that when you're pretty close to it, and it blows you away. I mean, you're awestruck and scared. I'm scared. I must say, when I had my experience, and I'm sure you probably are feeling a little bit of that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so, I guess I don't know if we got it, but went ahead of anything here. We were talking about 2017 when that incident happened, and then what was the next? Was it this what we were just talking about there, the 2021 incident, or we talked about your friend when you saw the creature by the fence, and getting back to that creature, I just want to ask one question about that. That was, you said it was a mantis kind of creature, but it was only, usually when you hear these reported, they're usually pretty tall. The one that you saw was pretty short, was 3.5 feet tall.
Yeah, it was real short, like 2-3 feet tall. It was like, up to my waist or something.
Wow, that's interesting. And what year did that happen with that creature?
2017 August.
That was the same year.
Around
okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, what was the next thing that happened after that?
Absolutely nothing until 2021. 2021, fast forward, that was the green UFO that I saw. But actually, I want to point out that the day before I saw the green one, I actually saw the one that my mom saw. The one that my mom saw, I could tell that this was the one that my mom saw because it was cigar shaped like that, but it had a giant red ball in front of it, but it was flying real far away. But it was so erratic. It was flying around like a bug, like this.
Wow.
Like zigzagging across a sky.
So the 2017, and then all of a sudden you and your mom described a similar craft, and then now you're seeing it, and that's how you were sure that that's what it was. And then you saw something else very similar, closer.
Yeah. And my mom actually saw the craft that I saw, the one I told her to come out and look, and she actually broke down in tears because that was the one she saw. So that confirmed,
Wow. So this is the one, this one right here, the one that we're looking at right now. This is the thing that your mom saw when she was security guard about in the late 2000 and aughts there.
That's what I believe.
Yeah,
I believe so because it fit the description. I got a good look of it with the binoculars. I could see the windows and the cockpit in front with the main window.
Wow. Did you see any occupants inside?
No, because the windows were so black. It was like tinted windows, like somebody gets the darkest tint of windows possible. And that's actually what my mom said she saw even when it was up close and personal, the windows were so tinted that she couldn't see anything inside.
So I guess at this point now, okay, after this happens now, so this is 2021, you had these experiences, your mom was having experiences. I guess at this point you're thinking, well, obviously there's something going on here with these beings and my family. That's what you must have been thinking.
Absolutely. And I want to point out that at one point after my mom had seen that UFO going back, she said that a small, tiny, round ball fell out of our nose about 3 or 4 days after the incident.
Wow.
And it was it was metallic.
And this happened this was her first incident when she was a security guard 3 days after that, or was this 3 days after? Okay.
Yeah, this was after her incident.
Wow. So that was you were at this point you realizing there's something going on here. We're being targeted for some reason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My mom is my mom is born in Finland, so she's of Nordic descent. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I mean, you heard about the Nordic aliens or whatever. I don't know if they're targeting us because of our DNA or whatever.
Well, it's funny. I just did a show recently, within the last couple of weeks, I believe, about an incident that I just learned about recently. An incident that happened in Finland in 1914, where there's some sort of a sphere was showing up. I don't know if you saw that episode.
And, oh yeah, I saw that one.
So it looks like it's been going on. Yeah. It's going on a long time. Looks like.
Yeah. So
so what was the next thing that happened after that? Okay, you had the 2021 incident when you saw this green craft, and then there was this. And when did this one here? When did you see this? Where was it? Was that the same night, or is that the same? Is this a different day?
No, that was 2023 July, 4th of July.
Okay, that's right.
I know it wasn't a firework because it just came over the horizon and just kind of sat there, and then it went back. And I've seen that before, like afterwards, but it was way further out, and the same red orb would actually react to me waving at it like this, and it would kind of come closer and would go away. It would come closer and go away every time I waved at it.
Wow, that's interesting. But this, again, it still wasn't after the 2021 incident. Now, was there anything in between the 2021 sighting and the 2023 that picture between those two events? Was there anything in between that in those years that happened, or
no?
But more recently, really. More recently, some things have happened.
Yeah. Well, 2023, after I had seen that red orb, I went camping with my dad. He lives in a little past Bakersfield, so we go camping in the Sierras, and we were in a place that's kind of like remote, hardly anybody around. It was a meadow. I kind of forgot the name of it, but on the last day we were hanging out by the campfire, talking like normal. And I don't know where we see this like kind of cigar shaped craft come up over the horizon, and it started coming towards us, but it had like a very bright white light, but it was kind of, the structure of it was very similar to what I've been seeing, elongated with a kind of source of light in the front of it. And it was coming towards us, not making any sounds. And I pointed out to my dad, and he goes, I go, what the hell? Look at that thing, Dad. Look. And he goes, he's like in shock. He goes, whoa, what is that? What is that? And it's coming closer and closer and closer. And my dad is like, at this point, he's kind of like starting to freak out a little. So the craft just kind of is going towards us like this, and it goes the opposite direction.
Wow. See, that's not
And
obviously that's not that's not an aircraft, normal kind of aircraft. And was there any sound?
not at all.
Yeah.
No sound. And it gets even weirder than this. I mean, that night, my dad, he went to sleep early, but I was still by the campfire, like hanging out and just looking at the fire, enjoying the peace and stuff. And I was still thinking about the craft we saw, but we all kind of just calmed down. He went to sleep. All of a sudden, like I just kind of blacked out. Like, I didn't fall asleep. I didn't pass out or anything like that. I just kind of like, my awareness just faded away. And I checked my phone. Well, when I came to, I checked my phone. An hour had passed. And my phone was like all scrambled up. It said the time and date of it was like March 1968 or something. I was like so confused, like, personal cell phones or something modern. Why would even have the option that show 1968 or whatever at the top screen? So I was kind of weirded out for a while, and I stayed up a little longer, and then I went to my bed in my tent. That night I woke up and I immediately had this vision. Like, something just came to my mind, like, I don't know why or where it came from, but there was like a vision of me like laying on a table, looking up at a light, being surrounded by 5 shadowy figures with round bulbous heads.
Alien abduction. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And now you were remembering, as like all of a sudden you had a vision. Now you were aware of where you were at this time, but all of a sudden you had this vision. You had a missing hour of time.
Yeah.
Your cell phone saying 1968, which is that's extremely strange. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then
it doesn't make any sense.
A little while later, all of a sudden you have this vision in your mind of laying on a table with shadowy, bulb-headed creatures standing around.
Yeah. Exactly. So we were using like a lot of mosquito repellents, and we never got bit by any bugs or anything. But I noticed something weird about my ring finger. And there was like a bulbous couldn't look like a volcano. That's the best way I could describe it. Like, it was protruding upwards, and there was like a black square looking thing in there. In a way, it didn't look like any type of bug bite or anything like that.
So you had a little bump on your ring finger that had a and what was inside of it? What was it? Just an injured? Was it like injured, or was it blood, or what do you think it was?
There was no blood or anything. It was just like round. It wasn't even red. It was like pale, and there was like something black and square shaped right in the middle.
What did you do about it? Anything?
I didn't think anything of it, but until like I just kind of when I went home, I just kind of put 2 and 2 together and said, well, I had that vision of like being surrounded by these bulbous headed creatures. I figured maybe they put some kind of like tracking device in my finger.
Were you able to, did you pick at it, or did you try to remove it? Was there anything you could do about it?
There actually wasn't anything I could do, because it was small, and it was like so embedded in the skin. Like, I didn't want to touch it or anything, because I figured it would probably bleed or.
Yeah.
But the strange thing is, when a couple days later, it just kind of disappeared. Like, it was gone.
Wow.
I mean, the bump was there, but there was no black square.
Wow. Well, something definitely seems very weird going on here, and obviously, it seems like you're a target of something. What the something is and what they want, I guess it's that's the we can't really say we could speculate, but something seems to be going on here. Now, what about your father that night? Did he have any strange experiences?
Um, he complained about something being embedded in his skin, but it was on his foot. But that wasn't. He went home and he actually picked that out himself, because I guess he's a little more brave than I am.
So is that the only time that you know of that your dad had seen a UFO, or did he have other experiences or himself?
He actually did see a couple prior to this event, and that actually made him a believer. Like, he saw a couple that were flying above the horizon, the mountains area, and one of them was just flying erratically, and then one of them actually appeared to crash. Like he said, like it was flying around it erratically, and then it turned red and then just fell to one of the mountains nearby where he lives.
Wow. So, did you ever think about getting hypnosis to try to maybe remember what might have happened during that missing hour time, or you don't
Yeah,
want to go there?
I contemplated it, but I kind of rather just like not bother, because I don't even talk about this kind of thing with anybody. Like, you're one of the rare persons I'm opening up about this thing. I just kind of like to keep it to myself, and I kind of brush it under the rug, and I talk about it with immediate people that have experienced it like I have, but I I don't know. I'm not a fan of like going to like seeing any type of doctor, shrinks, or hypnosis people, or
Yeah, I agree with you. I've actually stated on my show, like people ask me, well, why don't you get hypnotized? Because I talk about that incident when I was a kid and the three-fingered creature was in the room there. I don't think I want to remember it. So I've accepted it that it's real. There's no question about it. And then the seeing the UFO with my buddy when in the '90s, it's definitely real. There's something here, and they're screwing around with this. So what's the point? I mean, you see people on TV who get hypnotized. I'm glad that they do, right? Because it gives us some more insight and more information. And maybe someday I'll change my mind. But for right now, I don't know if I'd be interested in doing that either, because I'm not sure I want to relive that. I mean, that was terrifying. It
yeah.
was a terrifying experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw the incident with Zanfretta from Italy, the Italian security guard who got abducted like 10 times, and he went to a hypnosis and it was recorded, and he was like in so much trauma. So I don't know if I want to deal with that.
Yeah, I think I have to, commend the people that have done this already, that show us, okay, yeah, look what they went through. Obviously, they're remembering this horrible experience, and maybe it's best that, at least from where I'm sitting, I don't know if I'm ready to relive something like that. So I that's where I'm at. I might change my mind someday. I don't know, but
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
sure it's probably still up in the air for you at this point. But I guess
yeah.
the next question I have would be this. Uh, After that, is that 2023? Anything since then, or has it been clear sailing?
Oh, absolutely. There's been I would, as crazy as it sounds, but it's already been crazy. Like, I would say like every 3-4 weeks I see a UFO fly by, but it's nothing like up close and personal. I just see it way up in the air. And as a matter of fact, even just 4 weeks ago, there was an orange UFO that came up over the horizon, and I was trying so hard to take some footage of it. I was actually wanting to present it on the show. As soon as I brought my phone out, and before my finger even hit the record button, it just disappeared.
That stinks when that kind of stuff happens. Uh, and sometimes some people don't even think about recording it because they're just but you try to do it, but it didn't
Yeah,
work. Didn't work out for you. So you're
yeah.
still seeing UFOs all the time. Do you feel like they're still doing things with you, and maybe you're not remembering? Do you have that concern?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was a moment, like I think it happened last year. I was outside, and I somehow woke up inside the house. One of those blackout things that just happened, and then never actually happens to me normally. So, and I was just like laying on the tables or the table chairs, kind of slunched over, and I just woke up and I go, "How the hell did I end up in here?"
So basically, you were outside somewhere, and then was there any time missing? Did time go by?
About an hour and 30 minutes.
So another missing time experience then.
Yeah, yeah.
So it seems that you're an alien abductee. That's what it seems like. Seems like
Yeah,
it's happening
yeah.
to you on a regular basis, or who knows? I guess I'm assuming a lot of time it goes by in between these incidents, and so if life goes back to normal somewhat sometimes. But you are seeing UFOs on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah. And I also want to point out that every once in a while, I work late at night on my stuff. If you're a video game developer, you work late. Sometimes when I'm working, just randomly, I'll hear like a very bizarre kind of frequency type of sound coming from my own head. Like it sounds like doot 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 doot. And I've been hearing that for a while, and I would wonder, like, what the hell's going on? I'm hearing things. But, now I kind of chalk it up that maybe it's a tracking device, and I asked my mom about it, and she actually hears the same thing.
Wow. So yeah, obviously that's what they say, it's not just if you're targeted by these beings, a lot of alien abductees will tell you that it's not just them, it's their mother and father. They find out later on it's their kids after them. So it's generational.
Yeah.
And apparently even it looks like even your father might be having some issues too with it, because if he had something in his foot,
Yeah. Oh yeah. He got really good footage of a craft that was, I don't know what it was, he described it as being gaseous, like it was made of gas or something. It was like a very strange anomaly that flew up over the mountain horizons and had these twirling things that went like this, and it was green. And he got good pictures of it as well.
If you get a chance,
I don't know if I showed you that one.
I don't know if you did.
I could send it to you.
Yeah, send them to me, and I'll actually play them over this part if
yeah,
that would be good. I could insert them here. Well, right now I'm talking right now, but later on or tomorrow when I actually publish this podcast, people will be seeing the pictures that you just talked about, even though I'm not seeing them right now.
Right.
But yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely I want to see those. And you did send me another image here, and this is something you said you found on the internet. It was pictures of aliens, and you don't think this is a hoax. You don't think this was CGI. As someone who is someone who works with this, who makes video games, who's a CGI expert, you say this right here. Well, that's the wrong one. Where is it here? There we go. This right here. You don't think this is possibly real? You're saying?
Yeah, there's no way that's CGI. I mean, it's too asymmetrical for 3D modeling. That would actually be very difficult to animate each eye, because if you notice the eyes are kind of asymmetrical, that would be very difficult in a 3D modeling application. And I even went ahead and asked ChatGPT, and even it analyzed the image. Of course, it was skeptical, it's programmed to be, but even it admitted that it was not CGI. And I pointed out my knowledge and what I know about 3D modeling, and it agreed with me. It said, yeah, there's no way that's CGI, but it tried to say that maybe they're photographs of like puppets or physical sculptures or something like that.
Now, just so people who are listening to the show and can't see it, there's these two images side by side of really weird looking creepy alien faces. Yeah, I guess it could be.
Yeah.
I guess there's always the possibility it could have been puppets, but you're saying it's definitely not CGI. That's what your opinion.
Yeah, that definitely not. No way.
Yeah, they are pretty creepy looking, I must say.
Yeah, they are.
So I guess some of the things like you're convinced now. You have your own experiences. You know what's going on. You know that we're not alone. There's something here with us. What do you have to say to people out there who are having trouble accepting this reality?
Well, you know, I mean, I hope that you have your own experience someday, because I think that's the only way you're ever going to really know that we're not alone. Because I feel that even if they issue disclosure, there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to deny it no matter what.
Yeah, actually, you know, when you think about it, you know, you wonder if they ever did even show you the bodies, you know, they're going to be people denying and saying, I just still don't believe it. They just still don't believe it, you know. And then now with the way special effects are, people, even if they showed you the old films of when they were, you know, finding the flying saucer and the alien bodies at Roswell, if somehow they were released that, somebody will say, hey, well, it could have been faked. It could have been CGI. It could be whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say like they could televise some alien craft landing on the White House front lawn, and people would say that's still fake.
Yeah.
I think these people are just beyond stupid, and they're never going to accept reality.
Yeah, I think you have something there when you do say like maybe everyone needs to have their own experience. Maybe another Phoenix Lights incident in this day and age, or you know, something to that effect. Maybe that might help prod people across that line. Finally, I don't know.
Right. I'm thinking like every city and town in the entire world has to have like fleets of like giant UFO motherships just floating above.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be what is necessary. I mean, we've been talking about things on here. I've been talking about different cases on the show recently, like the Compton alien. There was that incident. I mean, I can't say with 100% certainty that it's real, but I give it a good 90% plus. I mean, because of the circumstances, and of course, I talk about all the time, the Vegas case and the Turkey UFOs. Those cases, to me, I mean, you can't deny the Vegas case. I don't think. I don't think there's any getting by that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for him to make that up. I mean, he sounds so distraught over the 911 call.
Yeah,
and now he doesn't even want to talk about it anymore, because you know nobody's going to believe it anyway. You know.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, you lay it out, and you could. And the evidence is there. I mean, now you looked at that. You saw some of the videos. I mean, what's your opinion I mean, Scott Roeder, he's an expert, a video analysis expert. He says that there was no CGI here. This was a real video. These are real entities that you're seeing.
oh, absolutely. There's no way that's CGI. No way. I've looked at the videos too. You could clearly see that there's entities right there.
Well, and I was to say, folks, this is another expert now, another video analysis. There's a person who's a CGI expert telling you that the Vegas alien videos were authentic, and of course, the totality of all of the evidence associated with that case should inform you of what that case signifies. I want to say this, Jamie. You know, your experiences. I'm so thankful that you came on the show today to share your experiences. I think it's fascinating and scary, and very interesting. So many different words I could think of to try to describe what you just shared with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it was a good discussion, I must say.
Yeah, I love your show, man. Like, you're the only one that keeps it real as far as like the whole alien thing, because like there's too many people, and at least in my opinion, that are too about the woo, and they add too much craziness to it. But I think you're more of a realist when it comes to talking about this subject.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Well, again, Jamie, I want to say thanks a lot for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And maybe I'll have you back on again sometime. If you have any other stuff to talk about with regard to this, it would be fantastic. And I want to say thank you again very much.
Absolutely. And thank you.
All right. I want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining us here today. Until next time.